Is the day of reckoning coming for Donald Trump and congressional Republicans? Will Maga ever awaken to the reality that they've been conned by a criminal president and his elected mob of cowardly sycophants? Just in time to help us answer those questions, here comes Politicus Maximus. I was hoping you'd turn up, Max.
Greetings, William. So the propaganda echo chamber and distraction machine successfully insulates MAGAs from hearing the truth. Most of the time. But there are those pesky lies that can't be spun into credible fallacies. I know because I was created to do exactly that. Promises made and broken by Trump with the potential to upend MAGA include those that promised economic prosperity for his base. I brought along a few clips from this 2024 campaign.
Together we will deliver low taxes, low regulations, low energy costs, low interest rates, low inflation, so that everyone can afford groceries, a car, and a home. Common sense. Starting on day one, we will end inflation and make America affordable again. On my first day back in the Oval Office, I will sign an executive order directing every cabinet secretary and agency head to use every tool and authority at their disposal to defeat inflation and to bring consumer prices rapidly down. We'll do it very rapidly. It will be a whole of government effort to raise the standard of living and make American life affordable again. It's going to really be a very important thing, affordable, because it's not affordable. But you know what? Inflation is destroying our country. It's destroying our families. We will target everything from car affordability to housing affordability to insurance costs to supply chain issues.
But upon his return to the White House, Trump immediately instituted policies, tariffs in particular, that were guaranteed to create more inflation, not less, and many in the MAGA community will come to understand that they've been conned. The distraction factory known as Fox News can't hide the prices on shelves in the supermarket or at the gas pump, the price of cars or the cost of electricity. This is where Trump is most vulnerable, and I believe the day of reckoning is closing in on Donald Trump. I think MAGAs will remember broken promises like those, and if they don't, independent media must remind them. Here's another clip.
I'm announcing today that under my leadership, the United States will commit to the ambitious goal of slashing energy and electricity prices by half, at least half. My plan will cut energy prices in half or more than that within 12 months of taking office.
So Trump must have thought that clean and renewable energy sources were responsible for at least half the cost of energy, because after his inauguration, he very quickly rolled back clean energy regulations and eliminated renewable energy incentives. But guess what? Energy costs have gone up since then, not down.
Energy is going to bring us back. That means we're going down and getting gasoline below $2 a gallon, bring down the price of everything from electricity rates to groceries, airfares, and housing costs.
In December 2024, the month before Trump took office, the national average price per gallon of gasoline was $3.03. Today, it's $3.15. So gas also has gone up, not down. Think MAGAs will notice that? I do. And Trump promised, quote, "We will eliminate regulations that drive up housing costs with the goal of cutting the cost of a new home in half." In half! A lie of outrageous proportion. Now, a lot of regulations have been eliminated by Trump, but did that cut new home construction costs by 50%? 25%? 10%? No. Instead, for the first quarter of 2025, there's a nearly 4% increase in home construction costs nationally, according to the National Association of Home Builders. Tariffs are expected to add thousands more to new home prices. What about labor? Many construction workers are now sitting in detention centers around the country awaiting deportation. Others are self-deporting. Obviously, with reduced labor supply, the cost of construction labor will increase, and so will new home prices. Let's look at another promise Trump made to MAGAs.
Car insurance is up 70 to 100%, and you can't get it. You can't even get it. Do you agree with that? You can't even get it, they tell me. Insurance is up 50% or higher. The whole industry is out of control. The insurance industry has never been anything through we have never been in a situation with insurance like it is right now. You can't get it, no matter what you pay. But prices will come down. You just watch. They'll come down, and they'll come down fast, not only with insurance, with everything.
So maybe Trump heard from Pete Hegseth that he can't get car insurance, but I'm pretty sure other people still can. What's Trump done about lowering the cost of insurance? Zero. He has done absolutely nothing to lower auto insurance. Maybe because rates are set and regulated by the states under the McCarran-Ferguson Act. But Trump didn't stop lying there.
And while working Americans catch up, we're going to put a temporary cap on credit card interest rates at 10%. We have no choice.
So no, Trump has done nothing to fulfill that promise either. Bills have been introduced into both houses of Congress to set a 10% limit on credit card interest, but Trump won't endorse either one. That might be because the Senate bill was introduced by Bernie Sanders, along with Josh Hawley. And the House bill was introduced by Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, along with Anna Paulina Luna. So no, Trump is not going to go there.
But the betrayal by Trump of his base isn't just about promises broken. It's also about costly policies and legislation. For example, he has pretty well destroyed the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. If Congress was to pass a 10% cap on credit card interest, the CFPB would have been the agency responsible for enforcement of that law. The CFPB was the consumer's watchdog where it came to abusive lending practices and credit card companies. So, of course, Trump and Republicans dropped a bomb on it. Those are the very industries that fund their campaigns. And tariffs represent an obvious example of Trump betraying his base, along with the rest of us. Before we roll the next clip, please hit like and tap the free subscribe button if you're receiving value from this content, and please share a link to this episode with friends and family.
We're going to have 10 to 20% tariffs on foreign countries that have been ripping us off for years. We're going to charge them 10 to 20% to come in and take advantage of our country, because that's what they've been doing for nothing, to take our jobs. We're going to charge them and bring back millions and millions of jobs by doing so, and billions of dollars. I did that with China. Our current massive deficits will be reduced to practically nothing. Our country will be powered by growth. Our country will be powered by growth. We'll pay off our debt. We'll have all this income coming in. If people want to take advantage of our country, they have to pay to take advantage of our country.
Still today, Trump continues to lie that foreign countries are going to pay a tariff of X%. But even MAGA members are awakening to the truth that countries do not pay tariffs. U.S. importers are the ones responsible for paying tariffs, and that tariff expense will, in most cases, be included in the price paid by consumers. And that will continue to increase inflation. And if Trump is successful in convincing the Fed to lower interest rates, that too will create inflation.
Yes, tariffs will cause growing market mayhem in coming months. But we also must discuss the mother of all MAGA betrayals, the one big beautiful bill. Impacts on states won by Trump on middle and lower income families in rural areas include $900 billion in Medicaid cuts over 10 years and a 20% SNAP reduction. Up to 10 million Americans are projected to lose health insurance due to the combination of Medicaid cuts and changes in Affordable Care Act premium assistance. The Commonwealth Fund projects that Medicaid and SNAP cutbacks will trigger 1.2 million job losses, reducing state GDP by $154 billion and lowering local revenues by $12 billion. Analysis by the Nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office indicates the bill will provide the richest 10% with a 2.7% income increase, while the poorest 10% are likely to see a poverty penalty of 3.1%. Indeed, congressional Republicans engineered the bill such that the rich literally do get richer and the poor literally do get poorer. It's been called the greatest transfer of wealth from the poor to the rich in generations. The Yale Budget Lab projects the long-term impacts of the bill include slower economic growth, higher interest rates, and of course, a worse overall debt-to-GDP ratio. Medicaid cuts are expected to push over 700 rural hospitals toward closure, including 300 at imminent risk. Over 25% of rural hospitals could shut down, and in some states as high as 50%. Many remaining hospitals could see reduced services, staff layoffs, and longer emergency wait times, all while loss of coverage skyrockets. With hospital closures, residents, especially in rural Trump-supporting areas, will face longer travel times for emergency care, delayed treatment, and worsened outcomes from events like heart attacks, strokes, and traffic accidents. All of the above will adversely impact the MAGA community.
Well, we have to make steep cuts in order to reduce the deficit, right? I mean, that's what we keep hearing.
So the short answer is yes. The U.S. must reduce its deficit. Although cutting social services for the poor and middle class has been a fever dream of Republicans for decades, this bill had nothing to do with reducing the debt. Because despite brutal cuts to Medicaid and other services, the Congressional Budget Office estimates the bill providing tax breaks for the rich will increase the national debt by $3.4 trillion over just 10 years, plus another $718 billion in additional interest expense. So that's over $4 trillion in only 10 years. It represents an insane increase to the national debt. Without getting too deep in the weeds, this increase in national debt will result in higher interest on mortgages, higher inflation, weaker safety nets, fewer public services, and more money flowing to international U.S. creditors instead of to American communities. So much for the party of fiscal responsibility. Incredibly, just this week, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent had the outrageous audacity to say, quote, "President Trump and I are laser focused on paying down the debt." I mean, the effrontery of that demonstrable lie is off the charts. Of course, economic betrayals at his base aren't the only Trump betrayals. MAGA's heard Trump promise that he would end the war in Ukraine on day one of his regime, or even before his inauguration.
And before I even arrive at the Oval Office, I will have the horrible war between Russia and Ukraine settled.
Let's see. That would be Trump lie number 316 to the 12th power. And MAGA's fairly drooled when Trump would hype the release of the Epstein files, but now it seems he never had any intention of releasing them. In fact, considering him giving Ghislaine Maxwell the silk glove treatment in exchange for some exculpatory comments and, of course, some flattery, logic suggests that Trump himself has criminal exposure. Whatever the case, he's obviously scared. This is a guy who simply does not fear scandals. Cheat on his wife with a pornographic film actress? So what? Get caught bragging about groping women? What of it? 34 felony convictions? No problemo. Adjudicated to be a sexual assailant? Look, this guy eats scandals for breakfast. But this Epstein thing really does have him worried, in part because MAGAs were truly bought into the idea of Trump exposing a demonic cabal of deranged, cannibalistic Democrat pedophiles. And yes, I realize we're talking about grown adults, but what can I tell you? Regardless, this betrayal is reverberating throughout MAGA.
Trying very hard to get away with this one. I don't know if the people are going to forget.
People are never going to forget. The problem is, do we have any power? What do we do? You know, what do you do? You definitely can change the way you vote, like if it comes up again. But the problem is, this is a bipartisan issue.
It's bipartisan. It's not. I don't know. I heard as a Democratic hoax.
Yeah, I don't think that's true.
But
well, it's certainly not a hoax if you go to jail. Certainly not a hoax if Ghislaine Maxwell's in jail too. So like she's in jail for sex trafficking. Excuse me, she's in jail for sex trafficking. But the question is, to who?
To whom indeed, Joe? Rogan answered his own question of, what can you do? By saying, you definitely can change the way you vote.
Okay, let's cut to the chase. What does the awakening of MAGA look like?
So in reviewing Trump's campaign promises, there were mostly fabrications about improving economic conditions for the MAGA demographic. But as we've seen, MAGAs are slowly, very slowly, truth be told, realizing that Trump told them any lie he thought might translate into more votes. That truth will become indisputable over time, regardless of right-wing propaganda machines, because high prices and inadequate wages are in their faces every day, even more than Fox News. Now, Trump divided his stump speeches fairly evenly between economic illusions and culture war distractions. But at the end of the day, many MAGAs will vote with their wallets, and some will come to realize that while neither of America's two viable political parties is likely to be their ideological soulmate, one of the two consistently advocates for middle and lower income Americans, while the other unwaveringly advocates for corporations and elite donor class billionaires. So my prediction is that once the middle and lower income Americans who have been binging on conservative Kool-Aid experience enough pain, Some will forsake culture wars and conspiracy theories to focus instead on their own economic circumstances and switch their votes to Democratic candidates.
And at what point will the pain become that intense?
That will depend upon the speed at which Trump damages the economy. But it will not be a sudden MAGA epiphany. Rather, it will be a fairly gradual awakening as MAGAs respond to online influencers who are losing their faith, like Joe Rogan. Another source of pain is likely to be AI. Republicans have total control of the U.S. government and thus have total responsibility for anticipating and acting upon future risks. But presently, Trump and congressional Republicans are like children playing on a railroad track, oblivious to the train speeding toward them. That train is AI, and it has the potential to devastate the world economy if not managed correctly. But as the train approaches, Trump and his congressional toadies are focused on retribution, DEI, covering up Trump's involvement with Epstein, and owning the libs. So to answer your question, William, the awakening will be relatively soon, possibly in time for the midterms. Watch the polls and track conservative influencers to witness the change in real time.
As always, thanks to Politicus Maximus for sharing his insights with us. And thank you for being a part of the community. Until next time, fair winds.